What's good, fam? This your boy Z the Real here, and I'm just going to take time and just reflect on this man's career, Vince Carter. For those of you who have probably have seen or heard, yes, it's true. He has officially announced his retirement from the NBA this week at 22 seasons. And I'm telling you, man, Vince Carter has been one of the most memorable players in the NBA. He's been extremely iconic. He's just as iconic as Allen Iverson. Yeah, the man might not have gotten to the finals or won like an MVP award AI has obviously won it, but he's done some pretty memorable things. Most notably, my favorite memory of Vince Carter, and still to this day stands the test of time, is his dunk from 2000. That's the best dunk of all time in any slam dunk competition. That over the between the legs, over the back, overhead dunk he did in the 2000 slam dunk contest. Memorable. That's just as memorable as Michael Jordan's highlight dunk that you see on the signature of his shoes. Yep. Vinsanity. That's what they call him, Vinsanity. He was also half man, half amazing. And I would say Vince Carter's best years were when he was on the Toronto Raptors. Because when he was on the Raptors, this dude was literally the best small forward in the league. Especially after Jordan retired. When Jordan retired, this man became that dude. But again, of course, the Raptors wasn't the greatest of teams, because this team had a hard time getting to the finals in those years. But again, like the late 90s going into I say 20, I say like 90, I say the like 98, 90, yeah, 98, 99 going all the way into, I say 2004. Yeah, 2004, 2005. That was Vince Carter's best years when he was with Toronto. Right? Especially when he was with his cousin T-Mac. And that was actually special because he had two relatives playing with each other. And him and T-Mac, they made some noise, but the problem is that those are two personalities. You know, T-Mac wanted to lead his own team. He was just too big to be paired up with Vince. So when T-Mac left and went to Orlando, that's when things really start heating up, because those two will have some of the most classic games. Like, I want the people watching this video to go back and look at some of those highlights when Vince Carter took on T-Mac. Go look at Raptors versus Orlando Magic games. Because those were the days when T-Mac had Grant Hill. And they was actually one of the best teams on the Eastern Conference when Doc was coaching them. But even then, Vince Carter's had some battles with Kobe. That was great. Allen Iverson, this guy took on. Paul Pierce, a young Paul Pierce back then. He's even had rivalries with Rip Hamilton. When Rip Hamilton was on the Wizards and when he was on the Pistons. Right? He took on Dwayne Wade, LeBron James. You know, this guy took on Stackhouse, Billups. Vince Carter took on a lot of competition, right? Manu Ginobili. He's had a lot of guys he went up against. So then when I guess he got tired of being with the Raptors, so he went to New Jersey. And even when he went to Nets, the Nets was still competing. See, what a lot of young people don't realize, the Nets wasn't always bad. Up until recently, until I think last year when they made the playoffs, even before then, when the early 2000s, in between 2002, 3, all the way until I'll say 2008, the Nets was actually a competitive team. Right, 05, 06, 07, they were actually in the playoffs. Because remember, back then you had Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was one of the best point guards of the Eastern Conference, without a doubt, behind Billups. So you had Vince Carter, you had Jason Kidd, you also had a young Richard Jefferson. Then you also had Kmart, which is Kenyon Martin, before he left for Denver. That team was in the playoffs every year. They were competing. Yeah, of course, Vince Carter wasn't there when he went to the finals. Because when they went to the finals, it was Draymond Kittles then. Yeah, Draymond Kittles and Keith Van Horn, along with Jefferson and Kidd. But they were still competitive even when Vince Carter got there. And then I think then Kidd left and went back to Dallas and got replaced with Devin Harris. They were still able to make things halfway decent. But then at that time, when they had Carter and Devin Harris, that team started declining. They started declining, then Vince Carter went to the Orlando Magic. So I think the Orlando Magic was pretty much his last competitive team he was on. Because when he was with the Orlando Magic, that was the second time he was ever make it to an Eastern Conference matchup. Right? When he competed for Eastern Conference Championship trying to get to the finals. I think his first one was with the Raptors. I think they battled Indiana in 2000 season. And remember, that was the first, that was the beginning of a three-peat for the Lakers era when Kobe and Shaq formed. That was the beginning of the Kobe era, right? That Vince Carter was competing in. But I think his second Eastern Conference And second Eastern Conference championship was when he was on the Orlando Magic. Now remember, when he went to the Magic, you still had prime Dwight Howard. He was He was the Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row. You had Rashard Lewis, who was still a formidable role player. Jameer Nelson was their franchise point guard. Michael Pietrus was the other shooting guard. I think he was the star shooter because Vince Carter was on the small forward. Carter pretty much replaced Hideo Turkoglu because Turkoglu had went to the Raptors that season. Yeah, so that's who he pretty much replaced. He replaced Turkoglu, but they were still good. You still had JJ Redick come off your bench. He was the sixth man in the league of the team, but yeah, they were still decent. You know, that was the Stan Van Gundy days. The Stan Van Gundy days was the last of the Magics being very competitive because after Stan Van Gundy got fired, Magic went down completely. But yeah, I think the Atlanta Magic, that was the last of Vince Carter being legitimately competitive because when we went to the Phoenix Suns with Nash, that was it. Yeah, Vince Carter started declining when he went to the Suns and then the Mavericks. He was on the Mavericks for 3 years, but the Mavericks wasn't nothing. They was basically going through a rebuilding process, right? And then I think they did make the playoffs that one season. I think Mavericks made the playoffs. I think in 2014. Yeah, they did. They made it 2014, but that was him. I think that was his last year there. Yeah, I did. That was the last year he was there. It was him, Monte Ellis. You had Jose Calderon, Dirk Nowitzki, of course. I think J.J. Barea, but yeah, that team wasn't that good. And then Vince went to the Sacramento Kings, and then when he in the Kings, I think he was with the Hawks. But even then, the Hawks didn't need him. Like Vince Carter should have honestly retired. He should have retired like 20. He retired after he left Dallas. I say after the Mavericks, he should have just called it a career because he was going down here after that. He was not the same player, and the league was only getting younger then. You see, since then, Kevin Durant. You've had you had Durant. Well, LeBron was always good. He was on top then, but the LeBron era officially had started out from 2011. But even then, Vince Carter got replaced because the league got younger. You got guys like Giannis coming in there, right? Not Paul Pierce, but Paul George, PG-13. Well, even when he was on the Indiana Pacers, you had Paul George, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I mentioned. Who else you had in the small forward category? It was some dudes coming up. Right, Blake Griffin as a forward was also getting known. And plus, Blake Griffin also won a slam dunk contest, dunking over a car, so he was already on the rise. And now recently we got Luka Doncic, but it's a lot of other forwards came in. And Durant, but wound up becoming MVP and was leading his team to the finals. You had KD. So again, you have a lot of other guys who just emerged. And even then, Carmelo Anthony, because Carter was still competing when See, the thing about Carmelo Anthony and LeBron, when they were in, Vince Carter was still the dude. Like even when Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo Anthony, Bosh, and LeBron, that whole class came in, and even Dwayne Wade, he was still the dude. But again, as he started aging, those other guys all started just like emerging good. Because remember, we seen Bosh, Wade, and LeBron all win championships together. So that was just the problem with Vince Carter. Time just passed him up. Even with the Atlanta Hawks, I didn't see him going to Atlanta. But Atlanta was basically the only team that would take Vince Carter. I would love to see Vince Carter at least go on the Golden State Warriors and win a championship ring just like Swaggy P, David West, Pachulia, and all those other guys who were around when he was playing. Because that's the one thing Golden State was known for in that whole run. They helped a lot of veteran guys like Lance Stevenson and Iguodala win championships. And Iguodala was another rival of Vince Carter's. When Iguodala was on the Philadelphia 76ers, he was little AI then, and he would go against Vince Carter. But all those players won championship rings on the Golden State Warriors. I would love for Vince Carter to go over there, but he was getting paid a lot of money from Atlanta, and even Sacramento paid him significantly, so he followed the money. But yeah, Vince was just done. Because you look at the Hawks now, with Trae Young and even Clint Capella, they're already on the rise. They got a lot of pieces, and Cam Reddish is already becoming that guy. That's another reason why Vince Carter don't need to be playing on one either, because Cam Reddish is already becoming a great guard forward. Like he's already a great dude to start on your team. But yeah, that's the game, man. But Vince Carter has had quite a few highlights in his career. He has a lot of memorable dunks. He has a lot of highlight film out there. Not to mention Vince Carter can also cross you over. He had very good handles back in the day. And his defense was elite. He's an elite defender. Like I said, one time Vince Carter was literally the top forward of the league. He was running it. After Jordan retired, it was out of him, Rem Hamilton. And then it was out of him, Rem Hamilton, Paul Pierce. Those were like the three main like top forwards. Right, because I don't count Rick Fox and Robert Horry. Those were great role players, but it wasn't this guy. And even T-Mac was up there too. Yeah, him, T-Mac, I think him, T-Mac, Paul Pierce, Rip. It was like those four. As far as like small forwards who were just like forwards and shooting guards who were just banging the rim, straight handles. Yeah, it was those four was the best. Like Eastern Conference had some of the best small forwards in the league. I'm not taking nothing from the Western Conference, but again, Western Conference is mostly known for like guys like Kobe and Tony Parker. Like the Western Conference is known for their guards. The Eastern Conference definitely had the forwards. For Michael Jordan, and you go on down, like the small forwards in the Eastern Conference back in those days were top tier. They were top level talent. Yeah, so Vince Carter is calling a career. The man is 42 years old, by the way. He's around the same age Tom Brady, which is crazy. But again, he was one of these players who could never win a championship ring. And that shows you the type of competition it was. You know what I'm saying? Everybody like to say the league is scripted. It wasn't scripted back in those days when Vince Carter was really... I tell everybody, the league was never scripted. It's just players, they get drafted to teams, either they're good or they're not good, or they're not great. So that's the thing, man. Vince Carter was one of those players. He was a great player, right? He was on some competitive teams. Those teams were just never good enough to win a championship. And look at Kawhi Leonard, man. That's another one emerged. Kawhi Leonard. Look what he was able to do, right? And Kawhi Leonard didn't want to even be a Raptor. He was not trying to stay a Raptor at all. He was only going to be there for one season. But Kawhi was able to do what Vince Carter could not do, and that was take the get Toronto to the out the Eastern Conference and into the finals. Now, of course, LeBron was gone. That changed a lot there. But again, man, like I said, like Kawhi Leonard is that type of dude. Kawhi Leonard was just that type of player. Now, I will say this. The Raptors don't really have too many players' jerseys hung up. Vince Carter is going to, since Vince Carter's retired, he's going to most likely be retiring as a Toronto Raptor, as you can see. This jersey right here, this jersey is what you're going to see on being hung up, right? Like next season, for example, once COVID-19 ends and everything completely resumes and fans are able to come back, the Raptors are going to be honoring Vince Carter, definitely. You're going to see his jersey hung up. Because I think he's like the only Raptor. The Raptors don't really have too many jerseys hung up now that I think about it. There's not too many hanging up on the Raptors. Chris Bosh, maybe. It could be an argument that Chris Bosh is also a Raptor that they can also honor. But my thing is, I see Bosh as more so a Miami Heat because he's won Miami Heat 2 NBA championships. I don't see Bosh's jersey being hung up on Toronto like that. I don't. It's the same way with Paul Gasol and the Lakers. And Paul Gasol came out there and recently said that he wants his jersey to be retired by the Lakers. He wants to play for Los Angeles Lakers so he can just retire, which would make a lot of sense because he did help Kobe win 2 back-to-back NBA championships. So it's like even though Paul Gasol played for Memphis for a number of years, like Vince played for the Raptors, Paul Gasol is mostly known for being a Los Angeles Laker because that's the team that he won championships with. He was second in command behind Kobe on that team. So I see Gasol as a Laker. I don't see him as a Grizzly. No, you think of Grizzlies, you think of Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, right? Marc Gasol. You don't even, because even Marc Gasol is a Raptor now. Even Marc Gasol won his championship ring with the Raptors. He was on the Memphis Grizzlies in most of his career. And Paul Gasol, Mark is literally up in age, ready to retire himself. So yeah, when Vince Carter retires, he's a Raptor. Yeah, the man did play for New Jersey, but the Jersey Nets didn't really do much when he was over there. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, like I said, they had Jason Kidd. They still had Richard Jefferson. Right? And even then, when Kidd left, he got replaced by Devin Harris. They didn't do much. They were a playoff team, but they couldn't. That team struggled to get out the first round. They were a first round exit. Even with Vince Carter, as good as he was, that team was never good enough to compete amongst Detroit, Miami, or Boston, or even Cleveland for that matter. They just weren't. They weren't good enough to beat the Indiana Pacers. It was just too much competition there. See, everybody think the league is one-sided because LeBron's win all those championships. LeBron wasn't always winning championships at all. Because back then, LeBron had to go against guys like Vince Carter here. And like I said before earlier in the video, when LeBron was a rookie in 2004, Vince Carter was the guy. He was the top dude. And Vince Carter was up there for MVP honors. He just never got it. Not like that. Because again, you had Kobe Bryant, you had Steve Nash, you had Shaquille O'Neal. Right? LeBron got 4 of them. Dirk Nowitzki. It was too much. It was too much competition. There's too many other guys that was just had that better of a career. They had higher records than Vince Carter. But Vince Carter definitely was carrying his teams. But Vince Carter definitely carried this Raptors team to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2000 against Reggie Miller and him. This guy took on Reggie Miller and Mark Jackson and Jalen Rose. So yeah, I give him that. And I think the other I think some of his best teammates with the Raptors, he had Doug Christie. He also had Charles Oakley. Dell Curry, Steph's father, also played in Toronto. He had him. T-Mac. Yeah, as good as that team was, because even then, back then, even on the video games, right? When Vince Carter was in his prime, in the older NBA Lives, and even the older 2Ks, like 2K 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, that was the games where you could pick up any team and be playing competitive. Especially Vince Carter. Vince Carter was such a good dunker. You could pick up any team Vince Carter's on, and you can literally have a chance of beating your opponent because he was that good of a player. So yeah, man, half amazing Vinsanity. I'm gonna miss him because again, this is like the last of my childhood. Like this is it. Vince Carter is the last of the of that '90s era. Do I grow up watching when I was a kid? And there's definitely not gonna be another Vinsanity. That's it, man. Vince Carter, he's one of a kind. But yeah, great player, but no, could never win an NBA title. And that's just life, period, man. You're not gonna own it. In life, you're gonna have players, especially in sports, you're gonna have players that's gonna be champions and some that's gonna be good players that just ain't gonna win a ring. Everybody can't be champion. Right? That's just the moral of it. But what matters is that these players have made the money they want to make. They got a chance to move out the ghetto, right? And they got a chance to give their family a life they always wanted them to have. And Vince Carter is set for life. This man's made plenty of money. Vince Carter really don't got to worry about nothing else. He's also a smart brother too. You don't really hear about too much problems Vince Carter's got into off camera. He's not like some of these other basketball players you hear time and time again. Right? You ain't never heard too much trouble out of Vince Carter at all. Like the stuff like Kobe, right? Kobe, Zach Randolph, all these other players have got in trouble. You didn't really hear too much out of Vince Carter at all. Right? And he's a very smart brother. And believe me, Vince Carter's managed his money wisely. So yeah, he's set for life. He's straight. Vince really ain't got too much to worry about. Because like I said, he don't got really too much to be ashamed about. Yeah, he didn't win a championship ring, but again, he is going to be a Hall of Famer. Like Vince is automatic. I believe Vince is automatically into the Hall of Fame. If he don't go in next year or the year after, he's going to go in somewhere down the next 3 years. You're going to see Vince Carter into the Hall of Fame. They may put him in with Duncan and Popovich. Because again, him, Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, they all have played around the same time. So he may go in that draft class. He may go into that Hall of Fame class, but he's definitely a first ballot. Without a doubt. So he's up there with Garnett, Pierce, Allen, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant. He's up there with those guys. Even his points, that man's points total is up there. So yeah, there's been a lot of players like Vince Carter over the last 50 years who are great players. Again, they just never win a championship, but they don't take nothing from who they are. And plus, Vince Carter is also one of the most memorable jerseys that you've seen being worn. Most notably, Onyx, Sticky Fingers, and Fredro Starr. If y'all watched that video of Slam Harder, watch Slam Harder. That was based on Vince Carter. He was also in the movie Like Mike. Even in hip hop, back in those days, you saw a lot of jerseys worn. I think Allen Iverson's, Kobe's, and then his jersey was also the one being worn the most. You saw it on TV. You see his jerseys worn in media. A lot of people was wearing Vince Carter jerseys. Not to mention that his shoes was unique too. Now, I never got a chance to wear his Vince Carter shoes. They were rare. But yeah, he had some nice shoes back then that he would dunk on. Or he'll dunk on somebody with. But anyways, folks, that's the video. Now, I just want to reflect on Vince Carter. You know what I'm saying? Just some memories, some things he did. Because again, Vince Carter has some classic games. He went against he had a lot of classic matchups, a lot of them. Like I said, go on YouTube if you can and check out Vince Carter's highlights. Or watch some of those throwback games. Because I'm pretty sure I think it's House of Highlights, and there's another one. There's another YouTube channel that does duels. Watch Vince Carter. Even the game when he took on his cousin T-Mac when T-Mac went to Orlando, that was some of the great matchups back in them days. And I say he's had some great games that he played. Anyway, folks, that's the video. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Thank you for subscribing. For those who subscribe to our channel, all my subscribers, I love y'all so much. Stay blessed, stay tuned. I'll see you soon.